Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight. 6 days after, victims of Rukubi airstrike demand investigation as coalition blames anti-grazing law for incident. INEC signs MOU with transport unions, says fuel scarcity is a threat to conduct of elections. CBN governor appears before lawmakers, indicts banks for new notes scarcity. And on the foreign scene, death toll from Pakistan mosque bombing rises to 100. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. We begin in Nasarawa State, where a coalition of pastoralist associations has accused the Nigerian government of keeping silent on the recent airstrike that killed dozens of pastoralists in Rukubi village in Nasarawa State 6 days after the incident. The coalition, during a press briefing in Abuja, demands immediate admittance of responsibility by the Nigerian military, an apology and condolences to the families of the deceased pastoralists. They also want the immediate proscription, disbandment of Benue State livestock guards. The group also calls for an independent judicial commission of inquiry to identify, investigate, arrest and prosecute all individuals and entities involved in the murder, expulsion, cattle rustling, livestock kidnapping and extortion of members in Benue and neighboring states. The coalition said apart from the Rukubi incident, several pastoralists were killed in Kaduna, Niger and Taraba states. Meanwhile, victims of last week's airstrike in Rukubi, Ndoma local government area of Nasarawa State, have attributed the incident to the anti-open grazing law in Benue State. In an interview with Trust TV in Lafia, the state capital, the victims called on the federal government to prevail on the Benue State government to repeal the law. Umar Mohammed sent in this report as presented from our studio.
Rukubi, a border community with Benue State, was last week thrown into confusion following the airstrike that killed over 40 Fulani pastoralists with several others injured. 60-year-old Alpha Bello, who lost 9 children during the airstrike after paying 6 million naira to the Benue State government to bail his cattle, wants the federal and national state government to come to his aid and also calls for a thorough investigation into the incident. I lost 9 children during the airstrike in Rukubi, Doma local government area of Nasarawa State after paying 6 million naira as fine to the Benue State government to retrieve my cows. I am appealing to both the federal and Nasarawa State government to come to my aid and other injured persons to enable them pay their medical bills. A relative of some of the airstrike victims, Usman Bawa and Ibrahim Hassan, who are currently receiving treatment at Aboki Clinic in Dalhatu Araf Specialist Hospital, Lafia, wondered why innocent persons were killed, urging government to take action against those behind the attack and stressed the need for federal government to prevail on Benue State government to repeal the anti-open grazing law.
So when they were uploading them, not knowing what is going on, they have seen a little bit like an aeroplane or a jet or whatsoever it's called. Then before they know, they have seen all like a flash of light, not knowing that it is bomb blastering, then scattering all the cows and as well as those people who were there.
Also narrating their ordeal, Adamu Abdullahi, who fractured his left hand while scampering for safety, and Muhammadu Aliyu said they paid 1 million naira on each cow to Benue State government as fine. Abdullahi, who has 2 wives and 10 children, said they were offloading the cows when the airstrike happened, adding that many people and their cows were killed. I ran when I heard the blast, and in the process, I fell and dislocated my left hand. I am feeling severe pains in my chest, legs, and stomach. I am appealing to the federal government and state governments to please come to our aid. I am calling on both the federal and Nasarawa state governments to thoroughly investigate the circumstances that led to the massive killing of innocent people with a view to bringing those behind the attack to book to serve as a deterrent to others. The chairman, Doma Local Government Area of Nasarawa State, Architect Ahmed Sarki Usman, who acknowledged that several people are still missing, called for calm, saying the state government is on top of the situation.
You must ensure there is peace and tranquility in the state. And in doing that, you call those that are affected, commiserate with them, persuade them to see reasons why we should not fight each other. We should try and ensure that the law comes to bear. That's exactly what we're doing. And at the moment, I want to assure you that everywhere is calm by the grace of God.
At the time of filing this report, no one has claimed responsibility, but pastoralists have accused the Benue State Governor, Samuel Otom, of orchestrating the attack, an allegation he vehemently denies.
Right now, Baba Usman Ngazarma is the president of Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, and he joins us in the studio to discuss the mystery about the Rukubi airstrike. You're welcome to News Hour.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. The Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria has condemned the silence of the Nigerian government and, of course, the military authorities over the killing of over 40 herders in Nasarawa State by a military drone fire on January 25th. Now, do you think this is a just reaction to the tragedy?
It's just as far as we're concerned, considering looking at the carnage and considering the plea of the victims. One will assume by this time the federal government must have come out and commiserate with these victims, apart from and in addition to maybe considering compensation and constituting an investigation body that will be charged with the responsibility of bringing out these culprits to book. But our greatest surprise is, up till now that I speak to you, nothing comes out from the federal government in terms of showing concern to the victims of this carnage. So this is what informed the coalition of these associations to come and voice out our demands, voice out our positions to the world, to come to in order to come to the aid of these victims, some of whom are laying sick in hospital beds, while a lot of them had been killed and buried.
Okay. All right. Well, the Herders Association has described the killing as intentional. Now, would you go that far? And what do you think the government should do to change this kind of thinking and appease all parties involved?
What we expect the government will do is to come out with a very concrete position. Is to come out with call for calm, is to come out and commiserate with these people, is to come out strongly and warn anybody who is responsible for this carnage should be brought to book. But up till now that we speak to you, nothing like that is coming out from the federal government. That is our concern, and that is our annoyance. Up till this time that this thing took place, nothing comes out from the federal government as a show of concern or a show of action in order to pacify these people who have lost their own and who have a lot of their fortunes.
All right. Well, there have been some other incidents of friendly fire, and it seems to be getting more frequent. What do you think should be done to reduce such incidents?
You say, I didn't get you well.
There have been other incidents of friendly fire like this, and it's getting more frequent, it seems like. So what do you think should be done to reduce these incidents? Well,
this is why we are calling for the federal government to consider. To be precise, on the 7th of November last year, there was an attack in Obi local government of Nasarawa State by the Operation Wild Stroke aeroplane. And the following day, on the 8th of November again, there was a similar attack also in Kiana local government. And earlier in November, there was also a similar attack by the Air Force helicopter in between the borders of Benue and Taraba State. So these things are getting out of hand. We need the federal government to come out strongly and say something, at least for those who have lost their own, to feel protected and to feel to have a sense of belonging as citizens of this country.
All right. Well, our condolences and thank you very much for coming to News Hour tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Now is Baba Usman Gonzalma, the president of Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria. Now, a thunderstorm has rendered over 200 residents homeless in Mangum village of Mangu local government area of Plateau State. The thunderstorm left the entire community in shock as there was no rain at the time it struck. Now, a resident, Mafulul Ismail, informed that more than 100 houses were destroyed by the storm. The chairman of Mangu local government, Minister Daput, was yet to respond to inquiries about the incident. However, no life was lost in the thunderstorm. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has assured Nigerians that despite the deadline of February 10th to phase out old notes, the Apex Bank will continue to accept the old notes as provided in Section 20, subsection 3 of the CBN Act. Emefiele made the clarification on Tuesday when he finally appeared before the House Ad Hoc Committee on the swap of new Naira notes. The report.
The governor of the Central Bank, Godwin Emefiele, finally appeared before the ad hoc committee headed by Leader of the House, Representative Alhassan Ado Doguwa, after failing severally to honor the committee's invitations. In his presentation, the CBN governor noted that the introduction of the new Naira notes was long overdue, but despite the delay, it has helped in curbing insecurity, banditry, as well as revamp the economy. He said out of the over 2.7 trillion naira outside the banking system in 2022, 1.9 trillion naira have been recovered by the Central Bank of Nigeria since November 2022. Emefiele, however, faulted some commercial banks for breaching the guidelines given by the CBN on the distribution of the new notes, which he said is the reason for the hardship faced by Nigerians, but that the Apex Bank is presently working with anti-graft agencies to monitor the flow of the new notes to Nigerians.
More than 2.7 trillion naira is held in people's homes. What that does is that it makes our mandate of monetary policy very difficult.
He further clarified the insinuations on insufficient redesigned Naira notes in circulation by assuring that CBN staff and about 159 million are supporting the bank to ensure that the new currency reach all local government areas in the country.
We deployed all our staff. We effectively shut down Abuja, shut down Lagos. All staff go to your locality, not just your state, not just your local, go to your locality.
Chairman of the committee, Representative Alhassan Doguwa, while commending the efforts of the Apex Bank, berated it for not carrying the Parliament along in its actions. He said the hardship Nigerians were facing due to scarcity of funds necessitated the action of the Parliament.
So only if you had communicated this to us much earlier, the crisis would not have come up at all. Nigerians would have gone home to sleep without any fear of let or hindrance.
According to CBN, the exercise has achieved over 75% success in villages across the 774 local government areas across the country.
Meanwhile, customers of various banks in the city of Jos are lamenting the scarcity of the new Naira notes, both at banks and at ATMs, which they say are neither dispensing the new nor the old notes. Now, some of the customers who spent hours without withdrawing money told Trust TV's Adu Musa that the new CBN policy is not helpful to them, as they are finding it difficult to get money for their daily transactions. The report.
Queues of customers at the banks have become the order of the day in recent times across the country, with many people complaining of scarcity of the new Naira notes in banks and ATMs. While some of the customers keep queuing in anticipation of the money from the ATMs, some say they can't continue to wait in vain. Some customers who spoke to Trust TV said they were only able to withdraw 2,000 Naira each over counter of their banks.
It's not good enough at all. It's not well organized. In fact, they should have made provision for this money long time ago for people to withdraw easily, but it's not done like that. You come here and waste your time for the whole day without getting what you came for.
It's obvious that people are queuing up for their money, which expectedly situation here shows that the country is having a little mixed up, because I don't really think the figure of what they want to be fine. Since all Nigerians are stranded, then there's a problem on ground.
I came to the bank yesterday and spent hours without withdrawing any money. I had to leave and come back today. This is about 10 a.m. now, yet we are not getting money. The ATMs are not dispensing. It has not been easy for us. Although some people have stopped depositing the old Naira notes in the banks due to the scarcity of the new Naira notes for transacting businesses, the new reality is that getting the new notes is becoming more difficult with each passing day. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
And still on the Naira redesign, the district head of Ture in Kaltungo local government area of Gombe State has urged commercial banks to make the newly redesigned Naira notes available to save Nigerians from further hardship. The district head, Mr. Habila Garba, said he received complaints from his people over the non-availability of the redesigned notes. The monarch said this when he received CBN monitoring team who are at the community to ensure compliance of the cash swap program. Some residents also shared different experiences in coping and accessing the new Naira notes.
It's a welcome idea, and I hope that the authorities concerned, including you people coming here, will ensure that these new notes are going to be available at the point of disbursement, like the POS, like the banks that we have here in Kaltungo, and the microfinance banks. You go there, they give you old notes. People are disappointed, but it is not yet expired, so we have to collect them and use them. But they are being recycled all the time, and this is the frustration.
I feel very much because in the few days ago, we even take the old note to the bank for change. Then we didn't even get the opportunity to change that money. So definitely we feel happy as the money has come to the village or the rural area where we can be able to get the change very easy.
I will sell like 3,000, 300,000, 400,000. But for now, things are not like that. Things are very difficult and it's very hard. Today, I didn't do anything. Even 10,000, I didn't make it. So this thing, to me, is hard. So I don't know how to put it.
And still staying in Gombe State, the Joint Association of Persons with Disabilities, the Gombe State chapter, says its members are going through difficulties accessing the new redesigned notes in the state. Speaking to newsmen in Gombe, the chairman of the association, Ishaku Adamu, said their members now lack access to basic needs of life due to the scarcity of the redesigned notes. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Although the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has extended the deadline for exchanging the old Naira notes for new ones to February 10, 2023, persons with disabilities in Gombe said they have not been carried along in the cash swap program. This, according to them, is complicating their already difficult situation because of their disabilities.
It means they cannot buy food, they cannot buy water, they cannot do a lot of. So we are receiving a lot of complaint from the grassroots, from our members, that their means of livelihood has been completely shut down because of this rejection of the old note and the inability of them to access the new Naira note. I cannot remember any deliberate attempt by the CBN or any government agency in targeting our people on this new policy. I cannot remember such.
Some of the PWDs narrate the difficulties they encounter trying to access the redesigned notes and coping with new CBN policy despite the deadline extension.
Like yesterday that I went to the market to buy something, they told me that I should transfer the money because they cannot collect the old notes. So that's, I keep wondering that, okay, let's say, for example, I don't have a phone and I cannot even transfer. and I don't have anybody close to me that will help me to transfer. You know, this issue of transfer is a very serious thing, because I cannot disclose my PIN number to anybody that I don't know. And let's say if I give my PIN number to somebody that I don't know, what next will happen? As a person who is visually impaired, what next will happen?
To amplify the voices of the less privileged and marginalized, Action Aid Nigeria says it stands with persons with disabilities.
Not everybody has ATM, and not all ATMs are even disbursing. So the few ones that are there, you can't queue. That persons with disability cannot stand in a queue for more than 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It's very difficult. And even those without disabilities, the other partner, are also complaining. So we are in solidarity with the poor and excluded people in Gombe State and the general in Nigeria.
The hope of these persons is for the authorities to avert the hoarding of the newly redesigned notes and make them available and easily accessible. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Now to election matters, where ahead of the February elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission on Tuesday signed a third Memorandum of Understanding with the National Union of Road Transport Workers, the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria, and the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners on the movement of election materials. The Commission says lingering fuel scarcity in the country is a big threat to the conduct of the elections. Noel Sampson reports that the Commission is also planning a sensitization program for members of the unions before the elections. Let's take a look.
This is the third MOU INEC will sign with the three transportation unions. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu stressed the need for the sensitization program for the members of the unions, which he said is an important part of the elections process.
The Commission shares your concern about the fuel situation in the country and its impact on transportation on election day. The truth is that our arrangements may be negatively affected by the non-availability of products. For this reason, the Commission will this afternoon meet with the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited to look into ways to ameliorate this situation.
The NURTW president reassured the Commission of the union's readiness for the elections, promising not to disappoint them.
And I'm assuring the national chairman of INEC today that by the grace of God, we are going to charge this duty as we give to us. And I always promise you, by the grace of God and support our members across states, we will not disappoint Nigerians. Once again, you are welcome to Minister of National Union of Transport Workers. Thank you.
Meanwhile, the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, promised to do its best in making sure that the vehicles meant for the electoral logistics are registered and roadworthy.
All vehicles inspected and certified will receive a tag from FRSC for proper identification that it has met minimum safety standard. The Corps Marshal is hereby calling on all union leaders to inform their members to follow due process and cooperate with members of the Corps. The Corps Transport Safety Office of the Corps has the review template of the checklist approved.
The Commission is confident of conducting a free, fair, peaceful, and credible elections. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Emir of Dutse, Alhaji Nuhu Muhammad Sanusi, is dead. The revered Emir died on Tuesday at Cedar Crest Hospital in Abuja. His remains will be buried in Dutse, the Jigawa state capital. He was born in 1945 at Ergaba village in Dutse, the capital of Jigawa state. A condolence message issued by Jigawa State Commissioner for Special Duties, Awal Sankara, described the late Emir as a bridge builder with a kind and humane personality. The statement lauded the contribution of late Nuhu Muhammad Sanusi to the development of the state. Under his reign, Dutse Emirate metamorphosed from a sleepy town to a prosperous city where not only the economic fortunes of its people have increased remarkably, but also the level of educational and spiritual awareness rekindled. The late Emir of Dutse was appointed Pioneer Chancellor of the Sokoto State University, Sokoto, by former Governor of the state, Alhaji Aliyu Magatakarda Wamako. Meanwhile, the remains of a renowned Nigerian scientist and university administrator, Professor Ibrahim Khalil Umar, who died on Monday, have been laid to rest in Kano. Late Umar was Vice-Chancellor of Bayero University, Kano, and former Director of the Center for Energy and Research and Training. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin witnessed the funeral prayer at the Emir's Palace in Kano and now reports.
Born on 20th May 1941 in Bichiloku government area of Kano State, late Professor Ibrahim Khalil Umar holds a BSc in Physics and Mathematics from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, MSc in Physics from Northern Illinois University, USA, and PhD in Physics at the University of East Anglia, United Kingdom. In 1976, he became the first Nigerian academic in physics to teach at Bayero University, Kano.
We lost a father, we lost a scholar, we lost somebody that helped in building Bayero University, Kano. He held many positions within and outside Bayero University, Kano.
In 1978, he served on the International Constitutional Assembly that drafted the Constitution of the Second Republic. Between 1994 and 1997, Umar served as the sole administrator of the Federal University of Technology, Minna.
I knew him since, I think, 1968, when I was an HNC student at this Rumpa College. Even though he didn't teach me there, but I learned a lot from him. And gradually we built our relationship, largely because of our concern.
He represented Nigeria at the Executive Assembly of the World Energy Council from 1990. He was a member of the Nigerian delegation to the International Atomic Energy Agency General Conference from 1989 and was appointed Director General of the Energy Commission of Nigeria in 1989.
After his retirement, dedicated his life to the services of Islam. If you look around, you find out that a crop of the clerics in Kano are here. He has been a pillar in the establishment of the Ali bin Abi Talib Islamic Center, popularly known Dangi Roundabout. He has been instrumental in the establishment of Al-Furqan Mosque.
In 2007, he was on the International Advisory Committee for International Workshop on Renewable Energy for Sustainable Development in Africa, held at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka. 82 years down the line, Professor Ibrahim Umar has been laid to rest in Kano, leaving behind one wife, 4 children. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
And now to politics, where the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has condoled the family of a former Vice-Chancellor of Bayero University, Kano, Professor Ibrahim Umar, over the passing of the renowned physicist. Umar, who specialized in nuclear energy, died in Kano on Monday. In a statement on Tuesday, the Special Assistant to the Presidential Candidate on Media and Publicity, Abdul Aziz, said Tinubu expressed grief over the death of the pioneering energy expert. The APC candidate prayed to Allah to forgive the shortcomings of the late professor and repose his soul. He served as BUK Vice-Chancellor between 1979 and 1986 and was Director General of the Energy Commission of Nigeria, among other positions he held. Still with us on Trust TV News Hour, still ahead. JAM suspends CBT Center in Kwara for non-compliance to rules. Details of this and more after the break. Do stay with us.
Nigeria na we country, APC na the party, na one man be a choice.
At last, the elections are here. Let's turn out en masse on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria for a renewed hope and a better Nigeria. Vote APC, the party that shows a broom.
Media Trust Group, in collaboration with the Center for Democracy and Development, presents the 2023 Kano gubernatorial debate, featuring candidates of 4 major political parties. Nasir Yusuf Gawuna of the APC, Bashir Ishaq Bashir of the Labour Party, Abba Kabir Yusuf of the NMPP, and Muhammad Abacha of the PDP. Date: Saturday, 4th February 2023. Time: 10 a.m. Venue: Bayero University Kano New Site. The event is strictly by invitation and no political supporters are expected at the venue.
I will be there.
I will be there.
I will be there.
Media partners: Express Radio 90.3 FM, Nasara Radio 98.5 FM, Freedom Radio, and ARTV Kano. The debate will be broadcast live on Trust TV and other channels across the country.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Hour. Now let's recap our top stories. 6 days after, victims of Rukubi airstrike demand investigation as coalition blames anti-grazing law for incident. And INEC signs MOU with National Union of Road Transport Workers, says fuel scarcity is a threat to conduct of elections. Now moving on to other news. Ahead of the February 25th presidential election, the Sultan of Sokoto, Saad Abubakar III, has cautioned politicians against abusing or insulting one another. The Sultan gave the charge on Tuesday when the People's Democratic Party candidate Atiku Abubakar visited his palace amid plans to hold a campaign rally in the state. He charged politicians not to destroy relationships and friendships, no matter what political party they belong to. He said if they believe God gives and God takes, they will succeed and end well in life. The religious leader stated that Nigerians across political divides must work together with all honesty and sincerity in order to move the nation forward. Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of the New Niger People's Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, has described the party as the only one that has the magic wand to turn around the fortunes of the country from its present challenges. Kwankwaso stated this at Kayama during the campaign tour of the senatorial candidate of the party in Kwara North Senatorial District, where the senatorial candidate also says he believes the people will vote for credible candidates and not political parties. The report.
Despite waiting for hours to receive presidential candidate of NNPP, Rabiu Kwankwaso, which was delayed due to bad road network, the people of Kayama trooped out to welcome him to the palace of the Emir of Kayama. After informing the Emir of his promise to fix the major roads in the area if elected, the Emir prayed for his success in the next month's election. The NNPP presidential candidate laments various challenges affecting the country and assured that the party will return the lost glory of the country, especially in the area of security.
And we brought peace, don't forget, when I was Minister of Defense, to Sierra Leone, to Liberia, and Darfur. That time we are not even talking of internal security. Now we cannot even protect ourselves. Many of our citizens now are in IDPs, some are in hospitals, some are even in graves, being killed by bandits, terrorists, and other criminals. So by the grace of God, there will be unity in this country.
The senatorial candidate for Kwara North said the next election is one that the people will need to vote for integrity and focused candidate instead of political parties.
You see, we are not talking of parties this time around. We are talking people behind these parties. I don't see myself contesting with any other party, other candidate, because I know my people knows me very well. And I'm popular within my people. So if I'm popular within my people, we shouldn't talk of party.
The state chairman of the party, Abdulrazak Abdul Salam, believes old political parties have failed the people and assures that the NNPP is the alternative for the electorate to feel the government's impact.
The installation that NNPP is a new party in Kwara State is more of a fallacy than reality. You understand? Because if you look at the strength and the way NNPP is moving within the rank and file of Kwara, you'll find out that is a content within NNPP and other parties.
Kwankwaso challenged politicians to always travel by road during their campaigns to enable them feel what the electorates are facing on a daily basis due to bad roads.
And still talking politics, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has said the over 3 million Nigerian students who are eligible to vote in the forthcoming presidential election should not be disenfranchised. He said this during a meeting with observers from the European Union Election Monitoring Observation Mission. Obi, who expressed worries over the inability of some Nigerians in a few states, particularly in Lagos, to collect their permanent voter cards, expressed concern over the fate of about 3.5 million students that may not exercise their voting right if at least a one-week holiday is not given to enable them return to their areas of registration. The national chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Abure, who also spoke on the challenges, said it is the young ones that bear the brunt of maladministration and so should be allowed to participate in the polls via a one-week break to enable them go and vote. Earlier, the EU EOM chief observer, Barry Andrews, told the party leaders that their visit was a routine one embarked for the purpose of interacting with leading presidential candidates and other stakeholders in the February 25th presidential election. Meanwhile, dozens of security operatives on Tuesday disrupted a campaign rally organized for the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Borgu local government area of Niger State. The grand lockdown rally, billed to hold at the New Busa Township Stadium in Borgu, was organized by Project 774, a political group under the leadership of Senator Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, who had invited the Niger State Working Committee of the APC to the campaign rally. But the party's state executive disassociated itself from the rally, asking all party faithful not to attend, but instead attended the Grand Zonal Rally, which is scheduled for Wednesday in Bidda, the headquarters of Bidda local government. When our correspondent visited the New Busa Township Stadium, dozens of personnel from the police, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and Federal Road Safety Corps blocked the entrance, preventing APC supporters from accessing the campaign venue. The police spokesman in Niger, DSP Wasiu Abiodun, said security operatives who are mobilized to the campaign venue to prevent a breakdown of law and order, having gotten intel of a likely breach of security. And residents of Katsina State have commended the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for the smooth distribution of PVCs across the 34 local government areas of the state. This, they say, will enable registered voters to exercise their franchise during the upcoming polls. Abdullahi Yamadi has details.
So, actually, we have received 398,595 pieces of voters' card provided for us for issuance to prospective voters. And in the process, we have given out 312,922. Now we have a balance of 85,663 left over. But you should realize that these figures I'm giving you is not the last figures. The exercise is still in progress.
Speaking in an exclusive interview with Trust TV on the number of PVCs received, collected, as well as those still uncollected in Katsina as at January ending, the head of voter education and publicity of INEC in the state, Shehu Saidu, also assured that the electoral body is working to ensure a successful 2023 general election. On the extension of the date for collection of permanent voter cards, many Katsina residents, especially rural dwellers, are hailing the electoral umpire for the extension. I wasted no time in collecting my PVC. It is ready, and I'm just waiting for the election days to go to my polling unit and cast my vote for people I believe have the interest of the masses at heart. Currently, people are suffering. For instance, as a farmer in 2014 to 2015, if you took 20,000 naira to the market, it could buy you 3 to 4 bags of fertilizers, herbicide, and other farm inputs, as well as other basic necessities. But today, a bag of fertilizer in Katsina, whether local or foreign, is about 35,000 naira. Similarly, political parties are also optimistic that INEC officials across Katsina State will do their best to facilitate a hitch-free electoral process.
Collect their BBC card, because without BBC card, nobody will be participate in the election.
Besides PVC's distribution, the electoral body has commenced the screening of ad hoc staff at its headquarters in Katsina. The electoral umpire is, however, appealing to all registered voters to reach out their local government INEC offices and claim their PVCs to vote candidates of their choice on election days. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Now to health matters, where the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, has confirmed the death of 37 persons from Lassa fever in the first 3 weeks of 2023. According to the NCDC, for week 3, 18 deaths were recorded out of the 137 confirmed cases in 37 local government areas of 14 states. In its Lassa fever situation report published on Tuesday, the center noted that the number of deaths represent 15.1% of the 244 confirmed cases in 16 states across 50 local government areas. The number of suspected cases increased compared to what was reported for the same period in 2022. 2 new health workers were affected in week 3. And the Joint Admission and Matriculations Board, JAMB, has warned CBT centers across the country to comply with its regulations ahead of the 2023 UTME exercise. JAMB Registrar Ishaq Oloyede, who gave the warning during an unscheduled inspection of some CBT centers in Ilorin, also announced the suspension of a center in the city for non-compliance to the rules. The report.
The unscheduled inspection started from the Uni Ilorin Mini campus, where the JAMB Registrar, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, was once a Vice-Chancellor. The JAMB accredited computer-based test centers are located at the higher institutions and education institutes. The centers are already registering candidates for the upcoming Unified Tertiary Matriculations examinations.
The inspection is to ensure that the regulations, rules and regulations for registrations are complied with. So if we simply sit down in Abuja or at Abuja and they'll just say, oh, these are the rules, and we do not go to see what is going on, we may not know the reality. That's the purpose, to see the registration and to convince you too, to convince our people that we don't need to cut corners.
But the registrar is not satisfied with the unsatisfactory arrangement made by one accredited centers, and he immediately wields the big stick. Professor Ishaq also visited the Ilorin office of the examination body, which has now been upgraded to a zonal office annex.
We created a standalone that we call the Kwara, we call it zonal headquarters annex. Just as we now have 5 annexes now, or three annexes. We have one in Kaduna, we have one in Lagos, and this place being in the middle, we have one here. This annex will now stand on its own. And in order to ensure that we have the facility, that's why we approach the Kwara State government, who graciously extended this land for us and allowed the diversion of the road. You know, this is supposed to be a road, so they divert the road there so that our offices can be together.
The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board is body saddled with the responsibility of conducting examination for admissions into Nigerians' higher institution.
You're still watching Trust TV News Hour. The news continues after this break. Just stay with us.
That's great. It's good to see you.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Hour. The Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited says modalities are being put in place to address the distribution challenges in the oil sector. The Group Managing Director, Mele Kyari, stated this after a meeting with major industry stakeholders in the oil and security sectors in Abuja. Chamun Dabeng reports.
The country has witnessed severe fuel scarcity, with Nigerians forced to stay for hours in long queues. This scenario cuts across the nation as some states pay above the approved pump price, triggering what was described by the GMD of NNPCL, Mele Kyari, as a crisis. According to Kyari, the issue the country is facing is not a supply issue, but a distribution one, adding that cross-border smuggling is a major factor hampering distribution.
As we speak now, we have 831 million liters in marine. That means in shuttle vessels and in mother vessels. And in the various depots that which all of us here represent, including NNPC, we have up to 738 million liters. Going into the market, there is no shortage of fuel going into the market.
With issues like the Russia-Ukraine war affecting the sector, the cost of transportation hasn't been friendly with independent marketers.
We also understand and agree that because of the current international crisis, the cost of freight charter has gone up. So we are also looking at the areas where we can at least cover their cost of transportation, both in terms of marine transportation and land transportation, in order to address this situation.
While the Chief of Defense Staff, Lucky Irabor, stated that the government is not handicapped in addressing the issue, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Khali, stated that the police was working hand in hand with the NNPCL to quell illegal activity in the sector.
And so I have the mandate of Mr. President to come to say that because it is a crisis of internal nature, which of course the police and other security agencies should lead, but if it's getting across the threshold that affects our defense and security, to let us know that we do not, the government is actually not handicapped. There is an alternative.
It is our role to assist the NNPC in monitoring the process of distribution, if that will give us a leeway to the problem.
At the end of a private meeting with industry stakeholders, the GMD of NNPCL, Mele Kyari, assured that a solution was underway.
We have reviewed the situation and we have recognized that pricing is a major issue in the challenges that we're facing around distribution of PMS in our country. Of course, there are other issues, including logistic issues associated with distribution, and these matters are now being carefully resolved.
The fuel scarcity in the country has continued to make life difficult for its citizens, as not only is the product near out of reach, but the cost has become almost unaffordable to many. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Right now, let's join Chiamaka Nwafo for business news.
Nigeria's public debt stock, which includes external and domestic debt, stood at 44.06 trillion naira in Q3 of 2022, having risen by 1.22 trillion naira from 42.84 trillion naira in Q2 of 2022. This was disclosed on Tuesday by the National Bureau of Statistics in its Nigerian domestic and foreign debt Q3 2022 report. The NBS report said Nigeria's external debt stood at 17.14 trillion naira in Q3 2022, while domestic debt was 26.91 trillion naira. The NBS noted that public debt in national currency grew by 2.84% in Q3 2022, adding that the share of external debt to total public debt stood at 38.92% in the same quarter. They added the states with the lowest debt were recorded in Jigawa with 44.40 billion naira, followed by Kebbi and Katsina with 60.13 billion naira and 62.37 billion naira, respectively. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, says it has taken over the operation of Production Sharing Contract PSC for 4 oil wells from Adax Petroleum Development Nigeria Limited. In a statement on Tuesday, NNPC said it amicably terminated Adax's 24-year PSC relationship. It said 3 months after the execution of the Adax Transfer, Settlement and Exit Agreement, ATSEA, for the PSC oil blocks operating mining licenses 123/124 and 126/137 operated by Adax, all closing obligations have been concluded and the assets have been transferred to the concessionaire NNPC Limited. While the TSEA was signed in November 2022, the transfer of the oil wells to NNPC took place on Tuesday, January 31st, 2022. Adax and NNPC had a long-running battle over the operation before the latest amicable settlement. And finally, the International Monetary Fund has revised its 2023 growth projection for Nigeria's economy to 3.2% from an earlier projected 3.1%. The IMF disclosed this in its World Economic Outlook update published on Tuesday. Nigeria is expected to grow by 3.2% in 2023 and later fall to 2.9% by 2024, while South Africa is expected to grow by 1.2% in 2023 and 1.3% in 2024. The IMF's report indicated that its Q4 2022 projections had earlier shown it expected Nigeria's economy to grow by 3.1% in 2023. IMF noted the small upwards revision for 2023, that is 0.1 percentage point, reflects Nigeria's rising growth in 2023 due to measures to address insecurity issues in the oil sector. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
Thank you, Chiamaka, for that business update. Now let's take a look at the foreign scene, where a rescue and recovery operation has ended in Pakistan after a suicide bombing at a mosque in the northwestern city of Peshawar killed at least 95 people, most of them police officials. Senior Superintendent of Police Operations in Peshawar, Kashif Aftab Abbasi, on Tuesday said more than 225 people were also injured in the blast. 52 wounded people are still in hospital, with 6 in critical condition. Authorities said the suicide bombing caused the roof of the mosque to collapse, adding that rescuers had to remove mounds of debris to recover many of the bodies. Now let's join Adeni Ajishafe for sports news.
Despite placing third at the 2022 Confederation of African Volleyball Under-19 Girls African Volleyball Championship in Abuja, Nigeria have qualified for the 2023 Federation of International Volleyball Under-19 Girls World Volleyball Championship in Croatia and Hungary. The 2023 FIVB Under-19 Girls World Volleyball Championship will be held from 1st to 11th August 2023. A statement from FIVB Volleyball Department Project Manager Yetin Chow congratulated Nigeria for qualifying for the Girls Under-19 World Championship. The statement also advised Nigeria to confirm her participation, complete the attached entry form, and return it by 3rd February 2023. Reacting to the development, the President of Nigerian Volleyball Federation, Musa Nimrod, lauded the decision of FIVB to admit 3 African nations into the World Championship by giving a slot to Nigeria. And in football, the international friendly match between Nigeria and Zambia at the under-20 boys level will now hold at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, on Saturday, 4th February. Nigeria and Zambia football governing bodies had agreed on a 2-match tour of the 27th and 30th January respectively. However, issues of logistics on the young Shipolopolo to process their entry visas into Egypt for the forthcoming Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations before leaving Zambia forced a postponement. Zambia's Under-20 will now only be able to play 1 match against the Flying Eagles before proceeding to Dakar for a game against Senegal on Tuesday. 7-time African champions Nigeria will fly to Morocco on Wednesday next week for their final round of preparations. Coach Issa Ladamboso Wars have been in flaming form in recent weeks, beating teams in friendly games. They won Wafubi Under-20 Championship in Niamey, Niger Republic, in May 2022, winning all their 5 matches in the competition. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And that wraps up Trans TV News Hour for tonight. For more news, you can subscribe to watch us live on YouTube and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.